Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to this new episode of Sudan in Focus weekly news magazine, which focuses on Sudan news and events, aims to give the Sudan TV audience a broad and first-hand information about what is going on in Sudan. So let's go.
The chairman of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, witnessed on Wednesday in Jabhat in the Red Sea State the graduation ceremony of batches 68 of the Military College, batches 20 and 23 of the Rehabilitation College, the Air College and the Naval Academy, in the presence of a number of commanders of the armed forces, police and security services, as well as the families of the graduates. The ceremony witnessed a military parade for the graduating students, reflecting the training doses and skills they acquired during the preparation and training period, as well as the high level of military discipline. At the end of the ceremony, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces honored the outstanding and the first military students in recognition of their excellence during the military training period at the Military Academy. The office of the spokesperson for the armed forces said in press statement on Wednesday that its ground-based countermeasures confronted two hostile drones that targeted the celebration site for the graduation of batches of war, air, and naval colleges after its conclusion in Jabhat. The incident caused the martyrdom of 5 martyrs and the occurrence of minor injuries being counted.
ونحن كلنا مارقين عشان نأدي ضريبة بتقودنا للطريق ذاته.
The chairman of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, said that we will not put the gun until the country is cleaned of any rebel and mercenary and continues to crush the terrorist militia al-Dagalo and eliminate them. He explained when addressing Wednesday the graduation ceremony of the graduating batches of military students that the graduation of these officers is a gift to the Sudanese people and a real addition to the heroes who are fighting the battle of dignity, and said, "Our battle continues with the enemy, and we will not retreat or surrender and will not negotiate with any party whatsoever," indicating that he does not mind reaching peace, stressing that he welcomes all sincere efforts towards peace, but it must be a peace that preserves the pride and dignity of the Sudanese people, adding, "We want the war to stop and our head is above and victorious. The war cannot stop and the enemy is present in the homes of citizens." The chairman of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, performed funeral prayers today for the 2 martyrs, Colonel Engineer Abdul Rahman Hassan and Assistant Musab Ali Ahmed, who were martyred on Wednesday in the Jabhat area of the Red Sea State in the presence of members of the Sovereign Council, a number of commanders of the armed forces, police and security services and a group of citizens. His Excellency had mercy on the martyrs of the accident, asking Allah Almighty to accept them well and inspire patience and good consolation to their families and their families. The funeral of the 2 martyrs was held at the railway cemetery in Port Sudan. The Council of Ministers condemned in its meeting today, headed by Othman Hussein, acting Prime Minister, in the strongest terms of condemnation and disapproval, the targeting of the Chairman of the Sovereign Council, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the presence of citizens and regulars in Jabhat while participating in the graduation of batches of military students.
تم اجتماع مجلس الوزراء اليوم، وكانت في بدايات هذا الاجتماع هو الإدانة الكاملة من السيد رئيس مجلس الوزراء أو قائم بأعمال رئيس مجلس الوزراء والسادة الوزراء، إدانة لما تم من استهداف للسيد رئيس مجلس السيادة القائد العام للقوات المسلحة في جبهة.
The Minister of Culture and Information, the official spokesman for the government, Dr. Graham Abdel Khadi, said in the ministry's periodic media platform that the targeting of the President of the Sovereignty Council and the incidents of marches to the areas of gatherings of citizens and notables exceeded all norms and values, especially since graduation ceremonies are a social activity in which families participate next to officials, which makes targeting a negative event that contradicts all social values and norms. A member of the Sovereign Council, Assistant Commander-in-Chief Lieutenant General Naval Engineer Advisor Ibrahim Jabba Ibrahim, chaired the meeting of the Committee for Dealing with the United Nations Mission. The meeting discussed the international situation and its impact on Sudan, where the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs provided an enlightenment on the efforts exerted diplomatically and the repercussions of what is happening in the world on Sudan. The meeting touched on the visit of the appointed expert on the situation of human rights in Sudan, Mr. Radwan Nowaiza, and the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Justice presented a detailed report on the issues raised by the expert, including the protection of civilians, indiscriminate shelling on sites, and how to respond legally to all issues related to the provision of humanitarian aid. Ambassador Hossein Awad Ali, the acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, met with Mr. Masoud Pezeshkian, President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, on Wednesday, July 31, 2024. The Minister of Foreign Affairs designate conveyed the congratulations of the Chairman of the Sovereign Council and the government and people of Sudan to the Iranian President for winning the confidence of the Iranian people and taking the constitutional oath, wishing him success in governing Iran and serving its people.
The Republic of Sudan, Ministry of Foreign Affairs Office of Spokesperson and Media Directorate, Press Statement. A press release by Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, Doctors Without Borders, yesterday revealed that the Janjaweed militia has been holding the organization's supply trucks containing medicines and therapeutic food supplies destined to El Fashir and Zamzam camp at Kabkabia town for 4 weeks now. MSF statement, in essence, explains that the militia is the culprit in the spread of hunger in the Zamzam camp as per the findings of the Famine Review Committee, published on the same day. This said heinous act is a part of the starvation strategy the militia is carrying out. Attributing food insecurity to not using a particular border crossing is therefore unfounded. Worse still, and in flagrant defiance of the Security Council Resolution No. 2736, 2024, June the 13th, the militia is continuing its siege of the city of El Fashir, escalating bombing of hospitals, IDPs camps, markets, mosques and public facilities in the city. In the light of the above, a firm international stance towards the militia and its sponsors is imperative, in order to deter them from pursuing to commit atrocities and flouting international legitimacy. Friday, August the 2nd, 2024.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give a short preview about the tasks of the National Committee for Crimes and Violations of the Rapid Support Forces and its functions. The National Committee for Crimes and Violations of the Rapid Support Forces of International Humanitarian Law, and according to its formation, is headed by the Attorney General and includes in its membership representatives of state institutions. The tasks of the committee can be summarized as follows: hearing all violations and crimes in the events that occurred since April 15, 2023, summoning any person for investigation and bringing him to trial in his involvement or cooperation in the crimes and violations of the Rapid Support Forces is proven. Hearing all violations that constitute a breach of international humanitarian law and Sudanese laws. presenting the accused of these violations to Sudanese courts. Through the statistics received by the committee from various states of Sudan, more than 12,400 lawsuits were filed against the rapid support forces. Among them are leaders and individuals accused of violations, such as killing, displacement, looting of property, rape and sexual violence, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, as happened in Darfur, Al Jazeera, Sinai states, and before them, Khartoum state. Moreover, violations of child recruitment, where more than 6,000 children were recruited, attacking places of worship, including mosques, churches, and cultural and heritage sites. Examples are museums, the House of Sudanese National Document, bookshops, and so forth. Occupying hospitals and turning them into military barracks and looting medical supply stores. Breaking prisons in a number of Sudanese states and set free more than 19,000 prisoners. Losses in the Ministry of Health amounted to 11 billion US dollars. Losses in industrial sector in Sudan amounted to 50 billion US dollars. The losses of the Ministry of Culture and Information amounted to 139 million US dollars, including radio and TV equipments, antiquities, and museum institutions. The attacks on police stations, prosecution offices, and courts caused huge liabilities that are currently being counted. The committee registers lawsuits, integrated the victims and witnesses, and issued arrest warrants, some of which were executed, and the other defendants were declared fugitive in accordance with the Criminal Procedure Code. The committee filed a number of lawsuits before the courts, including those accused of violations and others cooperating with the RSF. Rulings were issued in approximately 80 criminal lawsuits, some of which were convictions and others acquittals. The committee affirmed the independence of its work and that the rule of law is the reference in its work. It is committed to bring all perpetrators to trial so that they do not escape punishment, and to compensate the damages of citizens whose money was looted, their honor was violated, and were subject to the largest internal and external displacement process. Thank you very much.
The White Nile River state stands out and excels in the field of producing submerged and Arabic rice. The state is considered one of the leading states in the field of rice cultivation in Sudan, as rice cultivation in Sudan began 70th of the last century in the White Nile region through the National Rice Project and the expansion of cultivation areas in partnership with Pakistan, especially since rice is one of the strategic crops in the Arab Food Security Project. The state has advantages that are unique from the rest of the other states, as the state crosses the White Nile River from the south to north in the longitudinal distance exceeding 600 kilometers, which can be used for cultivating estimated projects that can be used in Arabic rice cultivation. There are options for cultivating other agricultural crops of rice in the White Nile Sugar Project. The state has a factory for peeling, bleaching, and packing rice in the packages with a capacity of up to 40 tons per day. The average productivity in the state reached 6.8 tons per hectare, which exceeds the global average of 4 tons per hectare. The state has local, regional, and international marketing outlets, which makes the export of surplus products available and affordable. As the efforts made reflect a trend to export rice to regional and global markets, it's clearly visible the increasing demand for this crop in China, Japan, Korea, India, African countries, and Gulf countries. This comes in the context of ongoing efforts to expand rice cultivation in other states, such as Al Jazeera, Sinnar, and the Nile River State, which will lead to increased productivity and development in the field of rice cultivation in Sudan. Sudan, with the support of Japan, seeks to expand projects related to the production of Arabic rice in new varieties in the country's lands in order to achieve food security. During his visit to the city of Al-Faw in Gadaref State, the representative of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, in Sudan, stressed the importance of cultivating Arabic rice and introducing modern technologies for its production in order to rely on it as food source in the future. Arabic rice cultivation has also achieved success in the Rahat area in North Kordofan state. Drought-tolerant Arabic rice, or not submerged in water, differs from rice grown in low-lying fields is submerged in water. It was reported that African imported quantities of rice worth $4 billion in 1 year, and this confirms the guarantee of marketing the rice production. Therefore, there are many efforts to expand rice cultivation in Sudan into new partnerships to support more and more production in the states of the White Nile, Al Jazeera, Sinnar, and the Nile River State. The average rice productivity in this state reached 10 large sacks per acre. The White Nile state has made significant efforts in managing 7 varieties of rice and 4 of submerged rice, and experiments are now underway for national strains of rice. The Korean expert in the field of Arabic rice production explained that the Korean initiative aims to work jointly with African Center to develop rice cultivation in 21 African countries, pointing out that Sudan and Uganda were to evaluate the results of the varieties that were distributed. Breeding the results achieved from the cultivation of experimental varieties in White Nile state. Added that the experiments that were implemented were in accordance with the plan followed and applied globally. Therefore, And we always say that Sudan is a virgin land and a country of new opportunities in terms of sustainability and food security in the world. So Sudan, as it always called it, is the world food basket.
Well, survivors who have been speaking to medical providers are the ones who experienced really horrific acts of sexual violence. We know that they were raped by multiple perpetrators, sometimes involving up to 5 RSF fighters at the same time. We know that these RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, they also seized women and girls from their homes, from the streets, from their workplaces. They detained them and confined them for periods of time. They were willing to even sexually assault women and girls in front of their family members, which adds to the trauma suffered by these survivors and victims because it compounds the stigma and other social consequences for them. And in fact, we heard of a case of a mother and her 4 daughters who were raped in front of their father and brothers, and they were not able to leave their home because the Rapid Support Forces kept them under a sort of house arrest. They were raped repeatedly for days, and one of the young women, the daughters, ended up being pregnant because of the ordeal.
What does the international law say, Akshaya, when it comes to sexual violence, and can those involved in these acts from the RSF be charged?
They absolutely should be charged. They should be charged under Sudanese law, but also under international law. We know that the International Criminal Court has a jurisdiction over some part of Sudan, which is Darfur, and unfortunately, these same Rapid Support Forces, particularly the men in command, have been responsible for fighters perpetrating sexual violence in Darfur as well. So this is one pathway to justice and accountability, but we need to keep our eyes clear. These men have been perceiving sexual violence as a crime with no consequence, and the international community must speak out and change that perception. They should be willing to impose sanctions on those individuals who have been responsible for sexual violence to immediately change their behavior.
And since releasing this report, have you had any reactions from the United Nations and the African Union?
Well, we have been in touch with senior officials at the United Nations, and unfortunately, what they tell us is that our reports match their reports and findings, and our conclusions, particularly on the lack of access to service and making it harder for these women to access the services they need, match their understanding. And so our advocacy is focused both on accountability and justice for these survivors, for what they experienced, but also to address the true dearth of supplies of psychosocial care, of health care that are facing these women and girls right now.
Quickly, Akshaya, have you raised this issue with the RSF and have they responded?
We sent our findings to the Rapid Support Forces, and they did respond to us in writing. They did not take responsibility for the actions of their fighters, and they have not acknowledged the details provided in this report. So their response is wholly inadequate, and it's simply one of many denials that they have issued in the face of mounting evidence.
Rapid Support Forces in particular have committed acts of sexual violence in areas of Khartoum, definitely in the areas that they exercise control over. And it was a noticeable observation to see the connection between RSF occupying residential areas and houses and the uptick and the increase of reporting around sexual violence, among other abuses. The sexual violence then became widespread, and we start seeing the trends of rape and gang rape, forced marriages and child marriages, and the abduction of women and girls in areas under the RSF control. One testimony, for example, were told to us that women and girls are under the threat of rape by RSF We are afraid all the time from RSF raids into our homes. We can't sleep from this fear. Daily there is a raid on a house. They try to rape a woman. They do not raid for just looting. They target specific houses because the women are there.